Hi, this is David, and this is going to be part one of my series on restorative yoga and how you can utilize restorative yoga in your home starting right now. I want to invite you to please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell and leave a comment so we can have a sense of community together and we can discuss some of these options. Without further ado, please enjoy. A couple of things. I'm going to put us back in restorative. I wanted to show one more thing I like to do when we are in restorative. So, take, for example, we have our setup, block, sideways, block standing. We take the bolster right here. Often we might put something right here, a little bit of a blanket, a towel, cloth. Because this is right here for the seat, I don't think it's necessary. We're going to come down. Oh, this is too high. We're going to come down just like this. Now again, we're going to take this bolster. This one goes under the legs. We come down. Yes. So the cushion that would go here for my body type is not necessary. I got a bolster here and I have a bolster here. I'm pretty much set, right? There's a few extra things you can do if you want. Where the feet are, and I know it's hard to see, you can take something and open up the feet, put something under the feet. But more often than not, what I would like to do with my clients, and this will be what our foot under the feet, or do something just like that. So feet are now up, is I'll take a blanket and I'll personally come around or ask them first and I'll cover them with a blanket. Now some may just want their feet covered. So as you can see, just the feet are covered in this case. It's just like that. And that's really comfortably a great way to help get into that meditative state. Others, particularly if I dim the lights and let the music be really subtle, sometimes the sound of crickets or of the fire pit, like being at the beach, or of something like the ocean, which is one of my favorites. Have that on. We take the blanket. We cover them in the blanket. And then this is a true restorative posture. Butterfly is one that I like to choose because you don't need loose hamstrings for. You can go right into this posture. It will aid digestion. You don't have to wait 30 minutes after eating or an hour. You can typically go right in if you feel okay. If you're pregnant, this is going to help the hips loosen, relax. If you're tight in your back, this is the go-to. Sciatica issues, your psoas muscles will relax, as we spoke about in the previous video, and it will really help everything else just loosen up. People can stay in here as long as they can tolerate. For me, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I kind of want to move and do something else. But if you're doing a restorative session like this with all these props, you can get away with, I don't know, anywhere from 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Some people can do their whole session like this. And the idea is to breathe. So we're going to do a count of 4 and 8 this time. Here we go. Let's inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2. Relax the shoulders. 3, 4, 5. Relax the knees. 6, 7, 8. Breath in. Breath out. Okay, we're going to come out of this. We're going to return to hero pose so we can kind of get a glimpse of how it was looking with hero. A couple things as I start moving these props and we start settling into the next posture is how do you do these when you don't have the props? It's pretty simple. So I'm going to show you how I would do it in a yin style class, which is more engaging, and a restorative style class, which is more about going limp and passive into the postures. So if we're doing yin, same posture. I'm going to start maybe on my seat. Let me face you so you can get a profile. See this? I'm already engaging. I'm already engaging my back. Now I might lean against something. If I don't have the muscles for it yet, I might put my hands out like this I might kick my legs out. This is fine. All this is fine in yin, but it's not like what we had before. And you see my arms extend forward. This is going to help open up my shoulder girdle. So when I breathe, it's going to help loosen up my shoulders and my arms and get me a little bit more flexible. Because more often than yin, I'm going to have a pinnacle pose that's going to be a posture that I want to be warmed up for. In yin, that posture would be pigeon. So if I'm going to eventually lead myself, for me, it would be pigeon, depending on your sequence. It doesn't have to be pigeon. But if I'm going to be like this on my hands and knees, eventually open up my legs, rotate my knee out, all this could be a lot on someone's shoulder girdles if they don't have the muscles for it. Even if they do have the muscles for it, they're going to want to be warmed up and ready. So just starting in a position like this in yin is great, because now when I breathe, that breath is going to come down the arms and the shoulder and the chest cavity, and it's going to allow for oxygen to really warm and loosen you up. Now, in restorative, you can get that as well just by having the arms out. I had a patient, and she was a nurse, and she had such bad pain in her shoulders that all she did for most of our sessions were just hold her arms out like this and breathe while we did the yoga. And she actually ended up doing so much better that she actually returned to work while she was in the program, and all of her levels went up. Her serotonin, her oxytocin, her endorphin levels, all of her yoga, her physical therapy, her foundation training, all her levels went way up because she was happy, because she was able to get back to work and get her quality of life back. So the point that I'm trying to make with this is that there's multiple ways to get the same result. Depending on style, you're going to break it down though, based off of what your needs are at that time. So when I say multiple ways to get the same result, you want to loosen up the arms, right? You want to open up the arms for whatever reason, whether you're going to do a pose or you just want the arms warm so you can do something, or you just want the treatment. You want the full service of the yoga session, you want the treatment. If you're going to do it in yin, you might be a little bit more engaging, and that may be because you're going to be doing a posture that needs you to be loose enough to support yourself. If you're going to be doing it in restorative, you're going to just open up and breathe into it, and that may be because you're going to be doing a posture that needs you to support yourself, or it could just be because you want the treatment, you want to warm up, and you want to receive the benefit of getting that oxygen flow into your arms and your shoulders and not miss out on that. I hope that makes some sense. We're going to move on to hero. So hero pose, as we talked about in the last clip, something I don't personally like. I always try to find a way to soften the blow for me. This is good for me. It's tolerable. But again, I might take something else. And you'll notice I used a different setup earlier. You don't have to necessarily use the same setup, which I know you know from your classes you've attended before, but continue to play and see what works for you that day, that time of day, that day of the week. It's all very subjective and it's going to change often. People ask me why it changes. A lot of times I make a joke and I just say because the wind changed. You just really never know. More often than not though, you have your go-to in the props, but if it's a specific thing going on for you, you're tired, your balance is just off, just a little bit. Those are things you may not notice in your day-to-day functionality and operations, but when you do your yoga, you're going to see that more and more because it's tuning in on, okay, this side's a little bit more limber today. Okay, this side's a little bit more unbalanced. Okay, this side's a little bit more sore. This side over here is a little bit more tender. Yoga is going to really fine-tune and zone in on the areas of your body that are really having a struggle, versus if you're doing something like getting a massage. So when I massage my patients, a lot of times I can tell a lot of things about them and they can tell to a degree, but when I put them in yoga postures, that's when they make the comments back to me. Oh, I didn't realize I was this. Oh, I didn't realize I was so tight there. Oh, I didn't realize that I was sore there. Oh, I didn't realize that was relatively painful there. It's not necessarily until I put them in a yoga posture, whether I'm turning them around, whether I'm doing a form of myofascial release where I'm trying to help their fascial tissues and muscles kind of turn to like a jelly so I can get in there and force manipulation of oxygen and blood to those regions. It's not until then where I usually get the comments, oh, I'm noticing that about my body right now. So where we're getting with this is that yoga is one of the better styles that I've come across where you can really get in tune with your body on a physical sense and notice what's going on with it, where your limitations are, where your strengths are, and it's all relative to that day and time. It's all subject to change. My left side's great today. Okay, my right side's great the next day. Okay, my left side's great this morning. Okay, an hour later, oh, now it's my right side, or now it's my quarter right. It's all very subjective. So keep that in mind when you're teaching, and hopefully when you're telling your students, you're explaining to them in a way where they're not in competition with themselves, whether it's the past or in competition with other students on what postures they should be doing. That's probably the biggest hurdle that we run into as teachers, is trying to help our students understand that any flexibility can be relative to the circumstance. So just because last night they were able to do the splits and they can't do it the next morning doesn't necessarily mean that there is something wrong with them. It could be a ton of different factors. It could be they just were out dancing 2 hours earlier. Their body's more loose. Their body's more warm. It's more receptive to a posture like that versus being cold. The muscles are cold and you're forcing it into a posture that's relatively demanding. These are things we normally know. We normally know this, but a lot of times we forget it. So that's our job as instructors, to help protect our clients and our patients and our students from themselves, because they know the right things to do. They can probably guide someone on the right things to do, but when they're in this practice, it can get a little competitive, whether that's with the others in the courses or the classes, or it's with themselves. So our job is to really help protect them from themselves, but it's a fine line. We want to stay out of the way as well. This is a singular type of practice. So as an instructor, we're always looking to give them a little bit of guidance, and then we stay out of the way and let them experience yoga for themselves. We don't want to be too much in their business about what they're doing. We might give a suggestion, a recommendation, but it's really a personal battle that they're in the process of when they're doing yoga. It's a meditation. It's a personal activity. It's a practice. So if we get too involved, we're interfering with their practice. And that's kind of a fundamental principle from the Yoga Nidras and the Yoga Sutras that we want to keep our eye on. As instructors, we don't want to really force feed them into something. We really just want to give instruction, give guidance, give suggestions, give recommendations, be there to protect them. But we also have to back off the reins and let them have their own practice. So that's one of the arguably most important things as an instructor that we should keep in mind. That, and making sure we remind them to breathe. If you do nothing else, reminding them to breathe is enough. That's pretty much all you really need to do when it comes to some of these practices. Okay, so with the props out, let's move on. This is going to be we knocked out butterfly, we knocked out hero. These are some of the poses and the postures that you can do with one side. You can do butterfly with both sides if you wanted to. A visual would be, I'm going to take this right leg and we're going to extend it out. Now, if I'm laying back or whatnot, either way, I can do one side. I can do the other side. I'm doing it kind of a demonstration of yin, but this is pretty much how you would do it on equal sides. Now, we did talk too about how I would do restorative without the props. Mainly if I'm doing butterfly restorative, I might just lay down. I might just have the arms like this. I might kick them like this, the legs. So as you can see from this angle, I'm not bringing them up like this, but I'm having some relaxation, some comfortability. I'm still loosening up the hips. There's a difference. You can do yin laying down. You can do this and make it a yin pose. But now I'm really engaging the hips and the psoas muscles. Do I really want to do that right now? Even in yin, I would pull back because the duration is a lot. 5 to 8 minutes of holding this posture is going to be a lot of my body initially, and it's going to lead it to being sore or even overworking it where you can potentially tear something. And we've talked about that personally, where I almost tore my bicep doing yin yoga because I was being so forceful. So keep an eye on it with yin, but relatively yin's going to be much different than restorative in one aspect, and that's going to be you're going to engage a lot more. Restorative, you're going to be a lot more limp and a lot more passive. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you picked up some tips and learned something that you can utilize and throw into action right now. I want to invite you again to please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment so we can discuss some of these options together. Look out for part 2 so we can teach you a little bit further some of the restorative tips and tricks that I like to use as a yoga instructor with my patients and my clients. Wishing you well. See you soon.